Welcome back to Showreel. This week, Claire and I are reviewing Alan Partridge, Alpha Papa.
Alan Partridge, Alpha Papa is a new British comedy film featuring Steve Coogan's long-running radio DJ character, Alan Partridge, in a hostage situation in his radio station. Let's take a look at the trailer.
That was soft rock cocaine enthusiast Fleetwood Mac, and this was Alan Partridge. Love that noise. I was having a fascinating conversation with Norfolk's most sun-tanned child, just passed his details on to the social services.
Alan, we're being taken over.
So, Pat, no one's getting sacked. Just sack Pat.
Just gave me 30 minutes to clear out my locker.
Hello? Pat?
There's only one person here who's willing to talk to you.
Cool.
Will you help us?
Guys, none of us choose the hand we're dealt.
We do need an answer, I'm afraid.
Why do you have another siege to go to?
Alan's coming in now.
Welcome to big school.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you
Alan Partridge.
my partner in crime.
Oh, guest.
You are the face of this siege.
I am Siege Face.
He's broadcasting from the siege.
Keep it light.
Okay, tonight we'll be asking, have you ever met a genuinely clever bus driver? Oh,
As the hostage crisis escalates, Alan Partridge has become the chief negotiator.
You've got to be more concise. What do you want? You know, I want a helicopter. That's just an example, by the way. Okay, he wants a helicopter.
He's got the shooter!
Affect the police.
Friends. Friends, Pat. Friends.
It's weird.
What has happened to your hair? I take no pleasure in saying this, but a lot of people think it looks like a photograph of an explosion.
Identify yourself!
Alan.
Alan?
There's footage.
Alan! I'm Alan Partridge. I've not been off the TV that long. Identify yourself. I should be at home in bed watching funny videos on YouTube.
Have you seen Fat Woman Falls Down Hole?
That should be fenced off, really, but I'm glad it wasn't.
Alan Partridge is a UK comedy series starring Steve Coogan. It centres around an ex-TV presenter come radio DJ with delusions of grandeur. He is rude and obnoxious, but beneath the surface he still has a heart of some description that occasionally shines through, if perhaps only briefly. The station he works for is bought out by a larger company who begin turning the station into a younger, more profitable commodity. Alan and the other older DJs suddenly find themselves fighting for their jobs. One of them doesn't deal with the situation all that well, and it is left to Alan to deal with the crisis, as only Alan would. In this, he manages to tread a line between social incompetence and shameless self-promotion. Adapting TV comedies to the big screen is obviously a tricky business. You have to maintain the elements that people love on the small screen, yet still deliver that something extra to make it worthy of the larger format. In this respect, I think Alpha Papa is a model of how to do it right. When I heard about this movie, I was skeptical because the show seemed to be ostensibly a small screen idea. Alan himself is ostensibly a small screen character, and Steve Coogan hasn't tried to turn him into something else. As a fan of the TV series, I would say that a lot of what hasn't been done here is why it works so well. They haven't sent him on a goofy holiday to America, they haven't gotten him mixed up in an international spy ring, and there are no aliens in sight. Although it wouldn't be that absurd to think that Partridge himself was one. The movie keeps to the heart of the TV show, and the believable performances along with the humour keep things grounded. The script is tight and filled with comedy that is performed, shot, cut, and with great timing. It has been cleverly written with a lot of early setups and foreshadowing that really pay off. This is one of the main things that makes it work and gives the movie a lot more depth than a half-hour TV show can, as well as giving the story that extra something to make it work on the big screen. I think for most people, Alan Partridge should be at worst enjoyable, and at best, well, much more enjoyable. 4 stars. What do you think, Claire?
Alan Partridge, Alpha Papa is definitely a lovable loser type of movie. I hadn't heard of Alan Partridge before seeing this film, but the character of this bumbling Norwich DJ, played superbly by Steve Coogan, was apparently created over 20 years ago and has been at home on radio and TV until now. This is Partridge's first appearance on the big screen, and whilst the concept of the film is pretty basic, it does feel like a different spin on the standard British TV to film adaptation. Many British TV programs that have been adapted for the big screen, like The Inbetweeners or Mr. Bean, use the standard trope of sending their main character abroad to get them out of their comfort zone. But Alpha Papa instead puts Partridge right where he is most at home and shakes things up. How better to get the most out of this lovable, Basil Fawlty-esque anti-hero of Norwich radio than put him right in his element and let the comedy ensue? Because, obviously, this insecure and incompetent DJ is perfectly capable of negotiating a hostage situation. Something I also found interesting after I went home and did a bit of research is that, unlike The Inbetweeners or most other British TV programs that have been adapted for film, Alan Partridge is more akin to Australia's Dame Edna, a persona played out in front of the camera as if it were a real person, a real presenter with an entire life history. Partridge's TV shows have primarily been talk shows or pseudo-factual, so it's really interesting to see how the screenwriters have adapted this into a film with a narrative. And given that Coogan has embodied such a rich persona for so long, he is able to bring to the screen a character that is so fully realised. After so many years of practice, Coogan is able to make Partridge put not one, but both his feet in his mouth at the same time. Whilst I didn't find myself laughing hysterically at this film, it definitely has a consistent mix of quirky, satirical and cringeworthy humour throughout. From comparing the stress of the hostage situation with marriage, to drawing similarities between his friend's poignant tale of scattering his wife's ashes at sea with that of Osama bin Laden, this film definitely holds nothing back. I also enjoyed the fact that the film remains staunchly British in story, setting and characters, and refuses to change to suit the tastes of American audiences. But then, I am a little biased. I love all things British, the comedy, the accents, my boyfriend. But you needn't be an Anglophile to enjoy this movie. It's a light-hearted comedy with something for nearly everyone. I give it 3.5 out of 5. So yeah.
Have you seen the TV show yet?
No, I started looking it up because I thought it would be something like with a narrative in it. But then it seems to be like there was one where he had like a talk show and interviewed people, but it was all kind of fake because he ends up shooting a guest or something during it. And then another one he did was like his own life history, so that's when I kind of realised he's just meant to be like a fake real person. So it's have you actually seen all of the series?
I haven't actually seen it all. I need to go back and watch the rest of it. But they don't have the time in a half-hour episode to really fill it out with as much depth as the film does. And as I said, I think they've used the film format to really add to the story rather than other things that just try and put stuff in there for bang for buck, for the big screen.
But with because he did interview shows and it's like his history and stuff, do any of his series actually have some kind of narrative running through them, or is it? I mean, it just feels like a really hard thing to adapt something that's is meant to be like a real life person, and now we're going to make him into a story. Or do people, when you watch the show, do you expect that he's not?
No, I mean it's just absurd, and he's an idiot, and. And it's just all of the stupid things that he comes out with, and it's the quick exchanges, like in the movie, that I think make the TV show. And he's very quotable, some of the things. And as we've annoyed Dan in the studio with one segment from the film.
I think there was some really cool, like really subtle little bits of comedy that, like, probably if they'd made it, more for an American audience, they would have lost that subtlety. But it was. I don't know, there's like the bit where it just he's walking back into the party and rolls up his sleeves just like he's getting really cool, and he's like, no, better not. Quickly puts them back down.
Well, that's all we have time for today. Thank you for joining us, Adam.
Make sure to check out the Showreel podcast and our Facebook, Twitter and YouTube pages. We'll leave you now with a sneak peek of Adam Fawns in our theatre-themed show next week. See you then.
Go. Hey,